Hello, I've got a classic story that I would like to share with you, and that classic story is called Aladdin. So make sure you're sitting comfortably and let's begin. Long ago in China there lived a poor tailor called Mustafa who had a son called Aladdin. When Mustafa fell ill and died, Aladdin's mother had to do all the work instead. Aladdin would never help. One day, when Aladdin was out playing, a man asked him if he knew Mustafa the tailor. "He was my father," said Aladdin, "but he is dead. Why do you ask?" "He was my brother," replied the man. "Now that I've found you, I want to help you and your mother." "Here is some money for your mother," said Aladdin's uncle. "Tell her I will see her soon." The next day Aladdin saw the man again, and he invited himself to Aladdin's house for dinner. "Here is some more money for your mother to buy something nice for us to eat," he said. Aladdin took the money home to her. When the man came to their house, Aladdin's mother said, "My husband never said he had a brother." The man was not really Aladdin's uncle, but a magician. "What work do you do?" the magician asked Aladdin. "He just plays with the other boys all day," replied Aladdin's mother. "Then I shall buy you a shop to look after," declared the man. Next morning the magician took Aladdin shopping. He bought him some new clothes. The following day they went to look at big houses with lovely gardens. Aladdin liked them very much. "One day I shall buy one," promised the magician, "but let us sit and have something to eat. We have walked a long way." The magician fed Aladdin all the cakes and sweets he could eat. Then he said, "Let's look at the best garden of all before we go back." When they had gone a little way, he cried, "Stop! This is the place." The magician lit a fire with dry sticks and put something on it that made black smoke. Then, all at once, Aladdin saw a big stone with a ring in it under his feet. "Pull it," said the magician. Aladdin pulled, and up came the stone. Then he saw it had been on top of a well. It was very black inside the well, and he did not like the look of it. The magician pointed into the darkness. He said, "If you go down there and do everything I say, you will be rich." Aladdin nodded eagerly. "You will find a door," explained the magician. "Open it and go through. You will come to a large cave and some boxes of money. Do not take them." "Why not?" asked Aladdin. "Do as I say," replied the magician angrily. Then he said, "Go on until you find another cave, and then another. You will see boxes of gold and silver in these, but do not take any. When you leave the last cave, you will see a fine garden. At the end of it will be a table with a lamp on it. Bring me the lamp. You can have anything you wish from the garden," the magician said. Then he took off a ring and gave it to Aladdin. "This may be of use to you if you need it," he added. "Now go." Aladdin went down into the dark well. Down, down he went. Everything was just as the magician had said. He touched nothing in any of the caves and went through a door into the garden. There Aladdin found the lamp. He took it and then looked around. Every tree was encrusted with rich jewels, red, blue, green, gold and white. Aladdin put down the lamp and took all the jewels he could. Even when he could carry no more, there were still many left on the trees. "I shall come back again one day," he thought, "but now I must take this lamp to my uncle." So Aladdin left the garden and went back the way he had come. When he got to the top of the well, he could see the magician. "Help me out, please," Aladdin called up to him. "Give me the lamp first," said the magician. "Then you can use both hands." But Aladdin answered, "No, not until I get out." The magician was very angry. He put something on the fire again and said some magic words. At once the stone moved back into place over the well, trapping Aladdin inside. "Wait!" he yelled. "I'll give you the lamp if only you will help me out." But the magician had gone. It was no use calling, so Aladdin tried to go back into the garden, but the door was shut tight. He sat down in the darkness and cried. For 3 days he had nothing to eat or drink. "I wish I had a little fire to warm me," he said. He rubbed his hands, and as he did so, he rubbed the ring that the magician had given him. "I am the slave of the ring," a voice said. "I will come whenever you rub the ring, and will do anything you ask. What do you want?" "Please take me home," begged Aladdin. No sooner had he said this than he found he was at home. His mother cried, "Here you are at last! I thought you were lost." She gave him something to eat and drink, and he went to bed. The next day she said, "There is nothing left for us to eat." But Aladdin said, "I'm hungry. I shall go and see if someone will buy these jewels or this lamp from me." "It looks so old," replied his mother. "Let me give it a rub first. I shall make it look as good as new. Then you will get more money for it." Aladdin's mother took the lamp and gave it a rub. Suddenly there was a puff of smoke and a strange-looking man appeared. He bowed and said, "I am the slave of the lamp." Aladdin's mother dropped the lamp in fright. "Don't be afraid," cried Aladdin, picking up the lamp. Then the strange man said, "The lamp you are holding is a magic one. Whenever you rub it, I will appear and do whatever you ask." As they were both very hungry, Aladdin said, "Please bring us something to eat and drink." The slave of the lamp clapped his hands, and a fine dinner appeared on gold plates. When everything had been eaten, Aladdin said to his mother, "I will go to the shop and sell these plates. The money I get for them will last us a long time." But soon that money had been spent, so Aladdin rubbed the lamp again. At once the slave appeared and gave him everything he and his mother needed. This went on for 3 or 4 years. By that time, Aladdin was no longer a boy. He had become a man, and a very handsome one. One day in the street, Aladdin saw a princess on horseback and fell in love at once. "I want to marry her," he told his mother. "We must ask the king," she replied. Aladdin's mother took him the last of the jewels Aladdin had found. "My son loves the princess," she said. "He sends you this gift." "He must be a very important man," cried the king, and he promised that Aladdin could marry the princess. Aladdin's mother went home to tell Aladdin the good news. But a rich man said to the king, "My son will give you much more if he can marry your daughter." When Aladdin found this out, he rubbed the lamp. The slave appeared, and Aladdin said angrily, "Bring the princess and the rich man's son to me." The slave did as Aladdin asked him. The man was shut in a dark room. Then Aladdin told the princess of his love for her and how her father had promised that she would marry him. Then the slave took her and the rich man's son back to the palace. The rich man's son was so scared that he wouldn't marry the princess. The slave told Aladdin this. Aladdin said, "Bring me many bags of gold and jewels and some slaves to carry them to the king." Aladdin's mother went with the slaves, giving money to all the people on the way to the palace. When the king looked inside the bags of gold and jewels, he cried, "Now I will let your son marry my daughter. Tell him to come here at once." Before Aladdin went to see the king, he rubbed the lamp and said to the slave, "Bring me new clothes made of the richest cloth in the land and a fine white horse." Aladdin looked just like a prince on a horse, and the princess fell in love at once. "Before I marry her, I must have a house," said Aladdin. That night he rubbed the lamp and said to the slave, "Make me the best house that anyone has ever seen." The next morning a beautiful house appeared, right next to the king's own palace. Aladdin married the princess, and they lived happily in their new home for a year or two. Then, one day, the magician came back. When the magician found that Aladdin was alive and that he was now a prince, he was very cross. "I must get that magic lamp away from him," he thought. He bought some new lamps from a shop. Then he walked up and down the streets calling out, "New lamps for old! New lamps for old!" One of the princess's women ran indoors to tell her mistress. "Aladdin has an old lamp," thought the princess. "He will be pleased to get a new one for it." The princess gave it to the magician in return for a new one. She planned to surprise Aladdin. As soon as the magician had the lamp, he hid where no one could see him and gave it a rub. The slave appeared and the magician said, "Take away Aladdin's house." The next morning, Aladdin's house was gone. The king sent his men to find Aladdin. They pulled him from his horse and took him to the king. "Where is the princess?" cried the king. "She is at home," Aladdin replied. "But your home is gone," said the king. "Bring the princess back or you must die." Aladdin could not get his lamp because his house had gone, so he rubbed the magic ring. "Take me to the princess," said Aladdin to the slave of the ring. Suddenly he was in the house with his princess. She told him about the old man with the lamps. "That man is a wicked magician," said Aladdin. "I must get the lamp back from him quickly." He gave the princess a little bag and said to her, "Ask the magician to supper. When he is not looking, empty this into his cup." The princess did as she was told, and the magician fell back dead. Aladdin picked up the lamp and rubbed it. When the slave appeared, Aladdin ordered, "Take us and our home back to where it was before." The king looked out of the palace window. "The princess and Aladdin are back," he said to the queen, and they rushed to see the princess. "I am so glad to be back," she cried. "A wicked magician took me away, but he is gone now. Dear Aladdin found me. I love him very much, and you must love him too." The king and queen agreed to do so, and they all lived happily ever after. Thanks for listening.